We're cooking up something healthy for National Nutrition Month. Hey guys, welcome back to At the Table. Sydney here, and we are celebrating National Nutrition Month today. So March is National Nutrition Month, and it's a great time for us to kind of refocus. We're a little bit past the new year now, and nutrition seems to be a popular thing for people to set goals for the new year, but we might need to just reassess what we're eating, how we're doing, and all of that. So March is a great time to do that because it's all about nutrition. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about our MyPlate, and we're gonna make two recipes that are really, they align with our MyPlate. They're really great in terms of consisting of those healthy fruits and vegetables, healthier proteins, good grains, and then also dairy. We've got a little bit of dairy in these two recipes. So our first recipe is actually going to be chicken pot pie bites, and we're going to put them in a little muffin tin and bake them. So they'll be like smaller little personalized chicken pot pies. A great thing with this is you could definitely adjust the vegetables to what you like if you don't want to put all the same thing in all of them. So we're gonna make that, and then we also have a zesty chicken wrap recipe we're gonna do. So first thing we're gonna start with is our chicken pot pie. I am using just one carrot, and it actually called for us to peel this carrot. I'm just not gonna bother. I made sure to scrub it really well, but we do have some good fiber. You don't necessarily have to peel your carrot if you don't want to. But I'm just a little lazy and I don't want to bother with that. So if you are the same as me, it's not a big deal. You can just chop it right up. Just make sure you scrub that carrot really well because it is a root vegetable, and that means that it's gonna have a little bit more of that dirt and soil on it. So we're doing one carrot. You can also, just like your traditional chicken pot pies, you know, you think of peas and carrots in those, you could also just buy the frozen peas and carrots and do that instead of chopping if you don't want to, you know, deal with having to chop stuff up. So I'm gonna give those a good chop. With any of our vegetables, for the most part, we do get lots of that good fiber, and that is super important. We just talked about fiber a little bit for our American Heart Month as well. So we want to make sure that we are eating fruits and vegetables because you get not only just that fiber, but you also get a lot of vitamins and minerals that we tend to not get in other parts of our diet. Fiber is going to be something that you can get from your grains. Don't really see it so much in our dairy foods or our protein foods, but we can get those in grains, and that's just another way for us to take in fiber. But we don't get all of the, what we call the micronutrients that we get in our fruits and vegetables in other parts of our diet. So that is why it's so important to make sure we're eating plenty of these. I feel like that's pretty good. We are gonna cook this down. So they will shrink just a little bit further. But we're gonna throw all of this into our pan. So I'm gonna put a little bit of oil. This is olive oil. You can use any type of oil that you like, but we do wanna make sure that it is an oil that is liquid at room temperature because it's gonna be healthier for us. Throwing that in, and then we have an onion that we're gonna chop up as well. Again, you could do any of this. Let me turn this down just a little bit. Any of this you could buy frozen if you don't want to bother with having to cut things up. This recipe is really great because it is one that can be quicker to throw together in terms of not needing to do a lot of chopping, food prep. So we're just doing half of this onion. I'll save that other half for later. Good tip for you is to go ahead and chop up the entire onion, because who likes to chop up onions anyways? And you can just freeze that onion that's been chopped to use later. Our onions do freeze really well, and you could actually throw them directly from frozen into, especially if you're going to be cooking them, into whatever you're making. And they thaw pretty quick, so that's not a big deal. So we're just gonna heat these up. And then we're also going to be adding a little bit of garlic. So I'll go ahead and chop that up while this is cooking. So we've got 2 cloves of garlic. And garlic is gonna be that good flavor in there. I swear fresh garlic tastes so much better than your powdered, but if that's all that you have, that's perfectly okay and it will work. So we're gonna let this cook up. I'm gonna finish chopping up our garlic and we'll see you guys back in just 1 minute.
Most aging adults want to stay in their homes as long as possible. And as your loved ones get older, you want to support them, even when you can't be there. Star is proud to offer Star Alert. This new system is now mobile and has GPS compatibility, so your loved ones can live their lives and you can have peace of mind, knowing they can get the help they need with just the simple push of a button. The new Star Alert also offers automatic fall detection, so help will be alerted even if they can't press the button. Call and ask about Star Alert today.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we have our carrots and onions in here. I just added the garlic, so it's still getting kind of fragrant. You just want that to kind of cook for about a minute. Just to start to release those oils and begin to flavor your dish. So what we're gonna add now, because I can take this spatula out, is our chicken. And this is just diced chicken. I did a pound of chicken that I just cut up into small pieces. I just did chicken breast. You can absolutely do already prepared chicken if you would, want to go that route. If you, again, don't have a whole lot of time to spend on preparing this dish. I will say, with the cost of things nowadays, it is going to be much cheaper to, of course, do any prep work yourself. So buying the carrots and chopping them up yourself, the onion the same way, chicken as well. So keep that in mind in terms of cost. The more prep work that you do yourself, the cheaper it is going to be. So we're going to add just a little bit of oregano, about 2 teaspoons. Our recipe calls for tarragon. I could not find that in the grocery store, so a good substitution for that is oregano. You can do really any spices that you enjoy. Remember, this is a chicken pot pie, so Italian seasoning would also be good. Rosemary, thyme, any of those would be tasty as well if you don't even have oregano in your fridge. We're just gonna do about half a teaspoon of salt, so I'm not doing much, just a slight sprinkle, and then just a little pepper to taste. We just want that to cook up nicely for about 5 minutes or so. It shouldn't take too terribly long. I'm gonna move it around a little bit. So the great thing about this is that we are getting, with that chicken, we're getting that lean, healthy protein. There are lots of great sources of your leaner proteins. Fish, while they're not necessarily lean in terms of your fat content, they do have what's called that healthy fat. So we've got those good omega-6s that we typically don't get in other parts of our diet. So keep that in mind. And then we also, other lean options, your pork that is the leaner pork, so not bacon. Love bacon, we want to cut that back a little bit, but our leaner pork, which is going to be things like your pork tenderloin, Even some pork chops are going to be pretty lean. So that's a good option. And then your lean beef as well. So lots of different things that you could do to still fit into our protein category of our MyPlate. Fruits and vegetables, I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory in terms of different things you could have there. One thing that I will add in terms of protein that actually fits into our fruits and vegetables as well is your beans. So any of those beans or legumes, those actually have a good amount of plant protein, but then they also can kind of fit into our vegetable category. So they're a 2-for-1. I always like to add beans when I can into my diet because I feel like I'm getting a bigger bang for my buck and really able to check off those different sections of that MyPlate. So that's kind of what we've got working with right now in terms of our dish. So we've got our fruits, vegetables, and not fruits. We've got our vegetables and our protein. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make kind of our sauce that's going to go with our chicken pot pie. So we need a cup of chicken broth, and I did buy the low sodium. Part of our MyPlate is to choose our low sodium, low sugar options. We don't want to have a lot of really high sodium, sugared up things. So that's about a cup there. And then we need a little bit of cornstarch. So this is going to be, it says 4 teaspoons. There's 3 teaspoons and 1 tablespoon. So we're gonna do a tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. Little kitchen math for you. Definitely should have got a bigger bowl, but that's all right. We're gonna use our whisk and just whisk that all together until it starts to thicken up a little bit, and then we're gonna add it to our pan. Now the benefit of this recipe is we're actually gonna be using the egg roll wraps for our kind of our base instead of using your prepared pie shells. Pie shells are great as well. They're just gonna be a little bit, they usually have buttermilk that's involved in those, or butter, things like that. So this is gonna be a little bit of a leaner option in terms of your grains that we're using for this dish. All right. So we're gonna add this and our peas and corn to our mixture. Our chicken's still cooking. That's, you know, perfectly okay. We do want it to be fairly cooked through before we start to add the rest of our ingredients. But I don't see a ton of pink left, so I'm gonna go ahead and move us along. We're gonna add in our peas and corn. So we've got 3/4 of a cup for each of these. These are thawed, they were frozen, and I've kind of let them thaw out. So add those to kind of get warm and heated through. And then we're also going to add our mixture we just made. We're gonna let that simmer for about 2 minutes, and we'll see you guys back in just 1 second.
Eastern North Carolina is a beautiful place where we gladly choose to call home, and we strive to provide the best communications services. STAR is committed to improving communications to all our service areas because we want to improve the communities where we not only work, but also live. STAR Communications. We are neighbors serving neighbors.
Hey guys, welcome back. So our mixture is already thickening really nicely. We just had the heat on medium, and we're just kind of moving that stuff around until it's kind of thickened up. So you can kind of tell that when it's not quite as runny as when we first put it in there. We are just gonna leave that to the side for now, and I'm gonna leave it on the burner so it stays nice and warm, but looks good, smells good. We're gonna move over to our muffin pan. So it looks a little messy right now, but I used egg roll wraps, which are these, so they're not gonna be nearly as thick as like an actual pot pie mixture. You can find these. Some people don't know where on earth do I find these wonton wrappers and egg roll wraps and things that you've been using lately in your recipes. You can find those in the refrigerated section at the grocery store. So I shop at Food Lion just because that's where we have our money available. So a lot of times I'll find them kind of by where the mushrooms are in Food Lion to give you an idea. So it's usually in the refrigerated section of the produce section of the grocery store. So I went ahead and started putting our egg roll wraps into our muffin cups. So I'll show you guys just a little bit of what I was doing. Not difficult. I'm just sitting those right into our muffin cups, kind of pressing down. Just be gentle that you don't rip the wraps because they are very delicate. I don't have very long nails, but I still do have a little bit of nails, and I'm really trying to use more of the base of my finger for that. So we're just kind of pushing that down. We have not used any spray, cooking spray, anything like that. You're just going to put them right into your cups as is. Just make sure that they're open. So when you throw your mixture in there, it will go where it needs to go. So we're going to use, I'm just taking a 1/4 cup measuring cup here, and I'm just going to do kind of a generous heap and put that inside of our cups. And then you're just going to fold that over. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if it's not fully covered, but just like that, very simple. These recipes actually came from eatright.org, which is run by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So all of their recipes are actually from dietitians. So you'll see this one is actually from Rebecca Clyde, who has her master's in science and is a registered dietetic nutritionist. So if you're looking for healthy recipes that do come from credible people, these recipes are all written by dietitians, so you can trust that they are going to be good for you. These look so fun. So if you did want to switch up the ingredients, as I mentioned before, you're just going to have to keep that in mind with what you're all putting into your pan. It might be a situation where you make, saute. So let's say you wanted red bell pepper in just a few of the cups, saute that separately and just kind of sprinkle those in. But they are still customizable. This is just an easier way to do it if you do it all lumped together. Now your egg roll wraps, those are going to fit into our grain section. They are made of wheat, so that does fit into our grains. However, these are not whole wheat. So keep that in mind when we talk about whole grains, and with our MyPlate, we want at least half of our grains to be whole. So while, that's not a big deal, half of your grains for the whole day, you want to be whole grains. Our bites are just not going to be part of that whole grain, which is okay. Maybe you could have oatmeal for breakfast, or use, whole grain rice, brown rice, if you are having that for lunch, and then you could have these for dinner. So that would be one way that you could still get in those whole grains. It's just not going to be from this recipe. I don't think they make any whole grain, whole wheat egg rolls, but I have not looked. You never know. There's all kinds of stuff that's made out there. So I'm just going to do that many. Well, I'll finish this last one. We'll save those last three that I'll do when we go on our break. I want to show you guys what we're doing with these. So we're going to spray just a little bit of cooking spray on top, and that will just help them to kind of brown and crisp up. If you have, I prefer those little, I have one from Pampered Chef, but you pump it and then spray with your olive oil. If you don't have one of those, which I don't have at the office here, you can just use regular cooking spray. I like to buy the one that is olive oil. Canola oil would be okay as well. So I'm just gonna kind of roughly spray those. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle them with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Not much. You see our dairy section is the smallest section of our My Plate. So we're not getting crazy here like what you would think with your pizza, stuff like that. So I'm just sprinkling, and then we've got our oven on 350, and this is gonna bake for about 12 to 15 minutes. So we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna throw these in, finish these last 3, throw them in the oven, and we'll see you back for our last recipe.
Honey, did we pay our bill?
What bill?
The Star Communications bill.
No worries, honey. With Star's paperless billing and automatic draft system, I get a notification sent right to my phone. There's no need to be bothered with those paper statements, and our bill is paid on time every month.
Well, that's easy and convenient.
It sure is, honey.
Honey,
Yes, dear.
the bake.
Oh, right.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we have our chicken pot pie cups are in the oven, and we are gonna finish up with one more recipe. This is a zesty chicken wrap, and it is another one from eatright.org. They have, again, great recipes on there if you're looking for recipes for National Nutrition Month. So what we're gonna be making with this, I've kind of done a lot of our prep work already. Our chicken, I cooked in a pan. I went ahead and cut it into strips. You've got about a pound of chicken, and I used Italian seasoning on that. The recipe says that, or rosemary, but Italian was just what I was craving. Then we also have some minced green bell pepper that I have already chopped up. And we have some roasted red bell peppers, which I chopped up half of the amount that we'll be needing. So we minced those up really finely. So what we're gonna do is we're using the lower fat cream cheese. So if you are looking to save a little bit there in terms of that saturated fat content, remember that from our American Heart Month information, this is a better option for you because of that. So we're gonna cut this in half. We just need 4 ounces. So we need half of the package. If I can get it cut. Need a nice sharp knife for this. There we go. Very sticky. So I'm just gonna undo this and toss that on in. We wanna make sure that our cream cheese is nice and softened. That way it will blend up together the way that we need it to. No cream cheese wasted. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add those minced bell peppers to this. We're doing all of this green bell pepper. And I'm just gonna work that around as best I can. If you have a KitchenAid, this would be a great time to use that. And then we're also gonna add in some spices. So here we've got some variety of color. We always talk about with our fruits and vegetables, we wanna try to have a variety of colors into our diet every single day. So I always do that in terms of when I'm thinking about colors I'm using. Let's say I'm making a sandwich and I'm gonna add in some spinach on there. Then I'm thinking, well, what's another color I could add? Well, I could add tomatoes, they're red. Maybe I wanna add bell pepper. Well, I've already got green and red. Maybe I'll add a yellow or an orange bell pepper. So I always try to pick a different color than what I've already got if it works out. This way we have a variety of colors because each color does have different nutrients for our body. So that's nice and blended. We're gonna add in our seasonings. So we've got half of a teaspoon of garlic powder. We have half of a teaspoon of cumin. That's what makes it a little zesty. And then the last thing, for a full little bit of zip, we've got cayenne bell pepper or cayenne red pepper. If you do not like spicy, I would leave out the cayenne. We're just doing 1/4 teaspoon, so not quite as much of that. So I'm gonna mix that all up. And this makes 4 wraps. So what we're gonna do next is we are going to grab our flour tortillas here. You could also do whole wheat tortillas if you can find them. There's lots of different options out there nowadays. There's like carb counter ones. There's all kinds of stuff. So do whatever's best for you and your family. And we're gonna start building our wraps. So I'm gonna spread this evenly amongst our 4 wraps. Actually, I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make 2 so that you guys can see that better. So I'm gonna spread that along the bottom half of my mixture. That mixture among the bottom half of the tortilla. And then we're actually gonna add a little bit of those red peppers. So that's why we're only using half of what the recipe calls for, which I got the bigger jar, but it calls for a 7.5 ounce jar. This is a 16. So of course you can build this however you like. If you don't like a lot of red bell pepper, leave that out. And then we're gonna add in our chicken. So these are those chicken strips. I did refrigerate mine, but you could do this hot or cold. So this is a very flexible wrap. Just gonna do 2 of those, and then we're gonna add a little bit of romaine to this. Get that in the best that we can. And this, you could either buy the pre-chopped or you can chop it yourself. And then we're gonna start rolling. So moving that bottom half, I'm gonna roll, tuck, and roll some more. And then there's 1. Do the same with the other half. So this is kind of why you load it at the bottom, so that when you start rolling, it doesn't all fall out and go everywhere. That one wanted to untuck. But there you have it. So this is a really healthy recipe that you could make for lunch or even just more of a light dinner if you're looking for that. You've got your fruits and vegetables in there. You've got your protein, your healthy proteins. We've got that chicken. And then our grains is gonna be that flour tortilla. You could absolutely throw in other stuff like some chopped carrots in there. I think tomato would also be really delicious in this. But it's a very easy wrap to make. And it can definitely, you can feed 4 just from the recipe. So those are some big wraps. You could even do this as prep for the whole week. So I hope this helped you guys as you're thinking about National Nutrition Month, ways to get healthier, nutritious meals into your meals for the week. So thank y'all for coming, and we will see you guys back next time.